due to the new updates of Payday, I just decided to I don't know, talk about the changes that I would like to see in the game. Because why not? So, long story short, Payday 2 was released on 2013. It kept receiving updates for for about 10 years, and then they finally released Payday 3, which didn't really worked very well for the company, and now they are going back to Payday 2. So their plan is to release new updates. Sorry about that. Their plan is to release new updates for Payday while still maintaining Payday 3. So yeah, they found a new development team to work on Payday 2 while the main company deals with the new game. So yeah, that's the idea. First of all, I really wish they lowered the enemy spawn rate and the enemy number. They kind of did that, but not really to the extent that I would find interesting. So Payday 2, somewhere down the line, they made a update that messed up the spawn of the enemies, and enemies started to spawn at a very absurd amount. So while Payday the Heist, the first Payday game, was more tactical, and you had to take cover more often, because while there was less enemies, they dealt way more damage. So while Payday the Heist was like that, Payday 2 just decided to increase the spawn rates for an absurd amount. So enemies deal less damage, but there are more enemies. And the new team, Sidetrack Games, kind of fixed that. But I don't know, I still feel like there is a lot of enemies, way more than I would enjoy. But that's just me, personally. I would prefer smarter enemies that deal more damage than just increase the amount of them. But yeah, there is also a fade rework that would change a lot of the game. Again, somewhere down the line, they decided to rework the fade mechanics because players were exploiting it. Even though it's a cooperative game, they decided to patch that out. So basically, Payday is a horde shooter, and enemies will spawn in waves, and those waves can be broken down into segments. So there'll be control, where nothing really happens. Then there is a build-up phase where enemies start to spawn, and that they keep spawning until they reach the maximum amount of enemies. And then there is the sustain, where enemies will keep spawning but maintaining the same amount. Then there is the fade, which is when the enemies will start to despawn. They will start to retreat until there is no enemy left in the map, and then we go back to the control phase. And the idea is to make kind of like a movie, where the enemies will make pushes against you. And the problem with Fade was that it had a random duration based on some elements of the game, but players found a way to exploit that to make the fade phase last forever. And then the developers decided to patch that, so they basically removed the fade stage of the assault waves. So you basically have an infinite assault wave now, because the break is 1 minute in some difficulties and 40 seconds in others. So you can't, there is that there isn't enough time for you to do anything, like to focus on the objectives. So I would like to see that make it come back. But the problem is that I'm not sure how much Sidetrack Games is willing to like change the game. Because so far the only changes they made was just changing some values, like they changed the value for the enemy spawn rate, so enemies take more time to spawn. They also changed some interaction timers. So you had, before the update, to upgrade a drill, you would have to spend like 10 seconds interacting with the drill, and now I think it's 3 seconds. So it's easier to upgrade the drills that we use to like open the vaults. But that's like just it. There was a change they made on zip lines, because they changed the color of the zip lines. Now there is 2 different colors. There is a color for zip lines that you use to carry loot bags, and there is a different color for zip lines that are used to carry players. And like, it's a small change, but in the patch notes they say that they changed that because they want to implement a new feature on a future update. So like, yeah, the two updates they made were just like tweaking numbers, changing some stuff, some really small stuff, but at the same time there is this this note on the update saying like, yeah, we are planning some bigger stuff, I guess, but yeah, nothing concrete yet. So like, I don't really have high expectations for it. And that's where my next point comes, which is a better down system. On Payday you have 3 lives, the 0 counts, but if you get down, if you like quote unquote die on your last life, you get sent into custody. And then your teammates need to trade a hostage for you to come back. And there is only one way for you to replenish your lives, which is using a doctor bag. So doctor bags are this item you can carry into a heist, and when you interact with it, it will replenish all your lives. So the idea is that if you are at 0 lives, you use a doctor bag and you go back up to 3 lives. So I have an issue with that system because, I don't know, I feel like there is not enough thought behind it, and it kind of makes the heists as easy as the amount of doctor bags your crew brought into the heist. So if you're playing solo and you bring a doctor bag, there is a amount of lives you can replenish. If you're playing with 4 people, each of them can bring a doctor bag, and then you have infinite amount of lives, which kind of makes the players like rely too much on doctor bags. Like, if I'm not bringing something very specific to a very specific heist, I'm definitely bringing doctor bags. Like, if I'm doing bank heist, the harvested trustee bank heist, I'll probably bring a saw, which requires me to bring a ammo bag. But I can't think of any other heist where I'll bring a saw. Like maybe a gold bank. Yeah, go bank and the harvesting trustee. But yeah, now I can't think of any other. All the other heists, I'll just bring a doctor bag. That's like my default consumable. because the game relies too much on that item. And I was playing some other mods that changed it. So the most famous, I guess, is Restoration mod or Res mod for short, because they changed the down system. They made so the doctor's bag do not replenish your lives, it just replenishes health. And the way to replenish lives is to survive assault waves, which is great. I like that system. Which like kind of makes you change your playstyle, because on vanilla Payday you just rush against the enemies, and if you die you use a doctor bag, right? If you like almost getting put into custody, you use a doctor bag and you replenish all your lives. On Restoration mod, if you are almost being sent to custody, you are forced to like take over and wait for the assault wave to end, so you can replenish your lives and then like actually and then be able to take higher risks. And surviving waves also does not replenish all of your lives, it just replenishes one. So you need to be more careful. But a better system is the one from Eclipse. So it's another mod that completely changes the game. And I'm really enjoying this one. I didn't play it enough to like say if it's actually good, but I have less problems with Eclipse than I had with Res mod. On Eclipse, the way to gain lives back is to make hostages, and then during assault breaks, during the control phase where nothing happens, you can trade the hostages for an extra life, which is great. I like that. I like that more than the Mod system, because now you have an actual utility for the hostages. Because on vanilla Payday, the hostages, you only use them to trade for teammates that has been sent into custody, which takes quite some time to happen, because to be sent to custody you need to die 3 times, I guess, right? From 3 lives to 2 lives, from 2 lives to 1 life, from 1 life to 0, and then from 0 you get sent to custody. So you need to get down 4 times and not use a doctor bag. Then you will be sent to custody, and someone will have to trade a hostage for you. So on Eclipse, you just avoid getting to custody by trading hostages, which kind of adds an extra layer of strategy, I guess. But yeah. As I said, I'm not sure they will do that, because I'm not sure how much they want to change the game. And another point is stealth. So I completely despise Payday's vanilla stealth system, because it's a very passive system. Like you cannot set traps, you cannot lure guards, you cannot actively pursue enemies while playing on stealth. And it's just not for me. That system is just not for me. I have like a preference for more active stealth games, like Metal Gear Solid, where you can actually pursue enemies and take them down. But this, I feel like it's gonna be an impossible thing. Like they will definitely not change how stealth works, because if they do so, people will riot. Because there is a lot of people that really enjoy Payday stealth. As I said, not for me, because like it's just sit in a corner and wait for like a guard to move, or like to stuff to be at the perfect position for you to make your move, and it's just not for me. So yeah, like there is a thing that I saw on restoration mod, which was the detection rate. So based on the equipment you have, guards will detect you easier or harder. But on restoration mod, they completely got rid of that, which means that it doesn't matter if you are carrying pistols or if you are carrying a rocket launcher. Your detection rate will be the same. And they did so because that way you can carry weapons that are good at handling multiple enemies. You can carry those weapons into a stealth heist. And the idea is that if you fail the stealth and you trigger the alarm, you don't need to restart the game. Because like that's how Payday works, vanilla Payday. It's like for you to do a stealth heist, you need specific weapons, you need specific skills, and if you accidentally trigger an alarm, there is just no way for you to handle the game. There is no way for you to handle the massive amount of enemies the game will spawn with your stealth build. So your only option is to restart the heist, and restoration mod changed some stuff so you can actually continue playing the game, which I like, because it kind of like increases the cinematic idea, I guess, of the game. Like there is even specific lines that some characters will say if you accidentally trigger the alarm. Like some characters will say stuff like, oh, it's time for plan B because you messed up. The idea was to do it quietly, but you messed that up, so now you need to do the plan B. And I like that. I like having those lines. It kind of makes it look more like a movie. And restoration mod does that very well with their stealth system. So yeah, I like that. But again, like I'm not sure if Sidetrack Games is willing to change the game that much. Another thing that restoration mod does is to change the payday system. On vanilla Payday, you can kill only 4 guards. If you kill the fifth guard, the alarm will trigger because there is a pager system. When you kill a guard, his radio will turn on and you need to like communicate with the central. It's like you take his radio and then you communicate with the central saying like, oh, don't worry, everything's fine, I just accidentally pressed the button. So you can answer 4 radios. When you kill a guard, the radio will turn on and you can answer only 4. If you kill the 5th guard, the 5th radio will turn on and you can answer that, but as soon as you finish answering, the alarm will trigger. So you can really kill only 4 guards. And restoration mod also changes that. You can kill an unlimited amount of guards, but depending on how you kill them, there is this meter that will fill up, and if it completely fills up, the alarm will trigger. So if a guard detects you and then you kill the guard, the meter will fill up like 10 slots. If you kill a guard using a melee weapon, the meter will fill up like 2 slots. And if you just dominate the guard, if you make the guard surrender, the meter just don't fill up. So depending on how you deal with the guards, the meter will fill up more or less, and then like if you completely mess up, the alarm will trigger. Like if you kill guards only after they detect you, you will be able to like kill less guards than if you kill them silently. That's like the idea of restoration mod. Kind of how Silent Assassin works, but with the addition of this suspicion meter. So yeah, something like that would be great for Payday. The no pressure on domination would also be great, which is like, if I understood it correctly, is how Payday 2 started. So on Payday, you could, on early days of Payday, you could deal with guards in two ways when doing stealth. One of them was to dominate the guard, and the other was to kill. So downsides and upsides of dominating. When you dominated, the radio would not turn on, but you could not move the guard. Meanwhile, if you killed the guard, the radio would turn on, but he would be able to move his body. So again, another layer of strategy. But players started to rush the maps, like just dominating guards. So the developers decided to patch that up. And nowadays, if you dominate the guard or if you kill them, the radio will turn on. So there ain't really a reason for you to dominate, because if you dominate, you will have to answer the radio, and you won't be able to move the guard. So I would like to see a comeback of that, because like it just does not make sense to me to have both options if both of them will give you the same result. But moving to some stuff that it's easier for them to fix, and I can see it easier, is for making solo players' lives less miserable. On unmodded Payday, it's just terrible to play solo, because the game heavily relies on other players. Like, there is a mod that I use called Hefty, which allows you to carry multiple of the same key items. So on unmodded Payday, you can carry only one of each type of key items, like key cards that you can use to open doors. You can only carry one of them. So you grab a key card, you use the key card, and only then you can grab a second key card. And the same for like wooden planks. You grab a set of wooden planks, you use them, and only then you can grab a second set of wooden planks. And Hefty changes that. It makes so you can carry 4 of each type of item, so you can carry 4 key cards at the same time. And that's great because it compensates for the lack of players. Because if you are playing solo, bots cannot take and use items. So Hefty kind of changes that. It makes so you can compensate for the lack of other players. The same for a mod that I have called Cable Ties and Hostages. So on unmodded Payday, you can take civilians as hostages, and you can move them around. The problem is that you can only move one at a time, because the game expects you to play with a 4-man crew. So each player can move one hostage, so everyone can, like, at the same time, everyone will move 4 hostages collectively. And the same goes for cable ties. You have a limited amount of zip ties that you can use to tie down civilians. If you're playing with other people, that's not a problem, because you can carry, I think it's 24 cable ties total. Each person can carry 6 cable ties, so 4 people, 24, which is more than enough to zip tie every single civilian in every map. But again, if you're playing solo, you can only zip tie 6 civilians, which can be a problem to some bigger maps. And if you search for like stealth, solo stealth, You can see that one of the strategies is to just shoot the civilians now. Is to just kill the civilians. Because if you don't zip side them, they can move around and they can call the cops, which will end the stealth phase of the heist and start the loud phase, which you don't want to happen. So this mod changes that. It allows you to move multiple hostages at the same time, and it also gives you an infinite amount of cable ties. So I like that. Ideally, I would like a system that counts the amount of players and then splits the values between them. But I don't know how easy or hard that would be to implement. So let's say if you're playing solo, you can move only one hostage at a time. If you're playing solo, you can move 4 hostages at a time because you're playing solo. So the game will count that, like, oh, there is only one person in the game, so he can move 4 hostages. If another person joins in, then the game will count and split. So you can move 4 hostages total, but there is 2 people, so each of them can move 2 hostages at the same time. If a third person joins the game, then the game will count again and split. So each person can move 1 hostage, and the host, since the game does not have servers and the connection is peer-to-peer, the host can move 2 hostages. And then, of course, if a 4th person joins, then each can move 1 hostage. That would be like the ideal system for me, because it will like take into account that it will take into account the moments where you start the game and no one joins in. So like on restoration mod, if you're playing offline, you can move 4 hostages, but if you play online, you can only move 1 hostage. The problem is sometimes no one will join your game. So the same happens with Hefty. Of course, you can modify the mod, which is what I did, for it to work online. But the original Hefty mod only works offline, which is a problem. Like, sure, if you're playing offline, you can carry 4 keycards at the same time. But if you're playing online, you can only carry 1 keycard at a time. The problem is that sometimes you will start a online match and no one will join. So, like, you see what I'm trying to say, right? Like, you'll be like, make your life harder. So I don't really like that system that much, like of it only working on offline. If they manage to like implement in some way for those systems to work online, that would be great. Or maybe just a value rebalance. So this that I just said, I would also like to see it be implemented for bags. So if you're playing solo, you can carry 4 bags, so you don't have to rely on the terrible pathfinding of the bots. But if another person joins in, then each of them can carry 2 bags at a time. That would be great. But for bags, I feel like just a value rebalance would work for me. It wouldn't fix the problems for the rest, like cable ties and hostage, but sure. Like what I'm thinking is this same that Eclipse did. So on Eclipse, they changed how they changed the amount of bags you need to complete a heist. So Diamond Store, it's a heist you need to rob a jewelry store, and you have to, well, the amount of bags you need depends on the difficulty, and on the 4th difficulty you need to secure 14 loot bags, which is a very high value for solo players, because you need to do multiple trips from the diamond store to the van, to the escape van, and then from the escape van back to the diamond store, which will increase the heist time by a lot. On Eclipse, they changed that. They changed the amount of bags you need. So for Diamond Store on the 4th difficulty, on Eclipse mod, you only need 6 bags. So it's less than half, which will decrease the amount of trips you need to do, which is great. I love that. I don't know if they changed for the online, because I still didn't play that mod online, and I don't really have a plan of doing so, but yeah, I like that. I like that they reduce the amount of bags you need to get to finish a heist, because again, it makes solo player lives less miserable. Like if you're playing with other people, 14 bags is fine. You can easily move that, but when you play solo, that's terrible. Especially when you play stealth, because on stealth you can't count with bots at all. But yeah, it's either that or change the bot system. There is another mod that I like, but I don't really use that much because it increases the amount of crashes by a lot, and the game can already crash on its own. Like even if you don't have mods, which is Moon Keepers. Moon Keepers makes the bots repeat your actions. So let's say there is a pile of loot bags. You take a bag from the pile, you move 10 meters, and you toss the bag into the escape van. Then the bots will repeat your action. They will move to the same loot bag pile, they will walk to the same position, and they will toss the bag at the same place you tossed. So basically the bot will repeat your actions. Which would be great to see it being implemented into the game. Because like the mod works, but it just causes too much crash. I don't know if it would be possible to like code it to be on base game, and if it could be made in a reliable way that does not cause the game to crash every 5 minutes. There is another mod made by the same guy, which is custom waypoints. That is also great. You can like set waypoints into the map and into objects, and then if you shout at a bot, the bot will either move to the position. If you set the marker on the ground, the bot will move to that position and defend that position. But if you set a marker on an object and then you shout at a bot, the bot will then move to the marker and interact with the object that the marker is on, which is great because then you can use the bots to kind of multitask. You can do something on the map while the bot does something else. Which is really great, especially for some heists that require 2 actions to be done at the same time, like Big Bank. On Big Bank you need to open 2 doors and to drop a huge pig into a bank. Of course you can do those 3 objects one after the other, but it's kind of nice to like give a command to the bot for them to handle one of the objectives while you do something else. If that's not possible, just a system to actually give like set a proper place to the bot to defend would be great, because on vanilla Payday you can't really talk to the bots to like for them to assume a position. You cannot like command them to go to a specific place and defend a specific place. Like if you shout at a bot, it will follow you, but it won't really stop at the same place that you are. It will stop around you, so it's kind of hard for you to like command the bot to stay in a very specific place. Like if you want a bot to defend a hallway, it can be a bit hard uh, for you to make the bot to assume the correct position. But yeah, that's like most of the changes that I would like to see. There is some other quality of life stuff, like improved offline functionality. There is already a mod to do that, but basically on Payday you cannot change the difficulty unless you go online, because there is just no way for you to set a difficulty on the offline tab, because on the main menu there is two tabs, one for online and another for offline. If you're not connected to the internet, you cannot access the online tab. And the problem is that the only way to change the difficulty is through the online tab. So the changes you do on the online tab takes effect on the offline tab. That's like how it works. And there is this mod that just changes that. It would be nice to like see it being implemented on vanilla game, just like so we don't need to rely on mods. The same goes for the mod tab. You cannot see the mods that the host is running on the vanilla game. You need a mod to see the mods that the other people are running, which is terrible, because like, what if the guy is running a mod that you don't like? The only way for you to find out is if you join their game and you identify that the mod is running, if you don't have mods installed. But if you have this mod that allows you to see other people's mods, then you can see like what the other person is running even before you join their game. So that would be interesting to see being implemented in the base game for people that don't like to mod their game, to like see if other people have mods or not. And then there is just like some other small stuff like drag and drop inventory, because to organize the inventory is really painful. You need to like, so let's say you want to organize your masks. So you need to go to the mask tab, you need to equip the mask, and then a button will show up. The button like to move the mask. So click that button and then you can move the mask to another slot. Which is kind of terrible to do, because it takes too much time. You'll need to like equip the mask for each mask that you want to change the position of. There is again in other mod, there is again already a mod that does that, but that you can just drag and drop the items of your inventory. But again, it would be nice to see that on base game, because it's a 10-year-old game. It can already drink alcohol in Europe, so it would be nice to see those functions being implemented in the game. But yeah, like difficulty rebalance would also be great, because I still believe there is no reason for a game to have more than 4 difficulties. Like you only need easy, normal, hard, and very hard. That's like all the difficulties a game needs. But Payday has 8 of them. And some of them are just like the previous, like the 4 and 5 difficulties are kind of the same. And then like the 3 first difficulties are also kind of the same. And it's even worse for those because it's not even the entire game. Because the game does not implement all special enemies at the same time. They implement them one at a time. So on difficulty 1 there is no special enemies. On difficulty 2 there is one special enemy. On difficulty 3 there is another special enemy, and so on. So if you are terrible at the game and you need to like play on those lower difficulties, you're not even playing the entire game, because you don't have access to all special enemies. And I find that kind of dumb to have. Like, instead of doing that, they should just allow all enemies to be on lower difficulties, but just make them easier to deal with. There is like no way for them to implement one enemy at a time. At least I don't see a reason for that. it can make the learning curve smoother, I guess, but I don't know. Like, what if you just can't increase the difficulty? Like, what if you are locked at the second difficulty? You're just not gonna see the other special units. But I would like to see that being done. I don't feel like I don't think they will X the difficulties like I want to. Like, I don't think they will remove 4 difficulties just to make the game like the others, because so far Payday 3 has only 4 difficulties, and Payday the Heist also has 4 difficulties, and an extra one which is just like based on the amount of hours that you have on the game or something like that. So yeah, the other games have considerably less difficulties than Payday 2. I don't think they will X 4 difficulties to make this game like the others. I would really love if they made that, but very unlikely. Again, Eclipse mod does that. It only has, I think it only has 5 difficulties, but I'm not really sure. Because I'm at the beginning of the game yet. And so I only have 4 difficulties unlocked. That also happens on vanilla Payday. You can only have 4 difficulties unlocked, and then when you reach a certain level, you unlock the rest. So I'm not sure if Eclipse only have 4 difficulties, or if I'm not just at the correct level to unlock the rest. But it's either 4 or 5 that mod has, which is great. I really love that. But yeah, that's like the main changes that I would like to see Sidetrack Games implementing into Payday 2. Some of them I highly doubt they will do it, but like, because I can see some backlash from the community if they change that, especially on some stuff like stealth. But yeah, I would really like that to be done. But yeah, if they can't, I hope that at least they don't break the mods, because all of these issues I was able to solve with mods. Like, I know, kind of solve, because some of those are not really like it's not really what I wanted, like cable ties and hostages. I only found a mod that give me infinite amount of cable ties, which I would prefer that if I had a limited amount, but I could like replenish somehow, which is not possible right now. Unless you play restoration mod. Restoration mod, you can replenish your cable ties to compensate for the lack of players, but they don't like share individual parts of their mods. The only way for you to have a piece of restoration mod is if you have the entire mod, and it changes a lot in the game. And some changes I like, some I don't. So it's like you either get everything or nothing on restoration mod. But yeah, that's it. That's the changes that I wanted to see on Payday 2.
Can you